Hey, what's going on, everyone? Finally, I am here to review Justice League Flashpoint Paradox. It's been out for a while now, and to be honest, really wasn't looking forward to this because I liked Flashpoint, the comic series, but it led into the New 52, and I wasn't sure how they were going to handle that. And also, like, the art style was like, wow, that looks like the worst, even more so than like Superman versus the Elite. Like the art styles in these are always they always look pretty piss poor. But I decided to go ahead and just buy it on Blu-ray and see what it's about. And I gotta say, I was very impressed. I didn't think I was gonna like this movie as much as I did. In fact, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say this is my favorite superhero movie that came out this year thus far. Is just really good. So let me get into the movie and talk about what I liked and some things I didn't really care for. First off, the voice acting. The voice acting in here is really solid. All the characters just feel natural. There wasn't a voice actor where, well, it took me a while to get used to Thomas Wayne slash Batman, the guy who played him. Because I thought Kevin Conroy, when he said he was going to voice Batman, I thought he was going to voice both versions of Batman, and which would have been weird because I'm like, Thomas Wayne and this Batman that Thomas Wayne is much different than what Bruce's Batman is in regular continuity. So I was worried about that, but I gotta say, Kevin McKidd did a good job as Bruce Wayne. I mean, as Bruce Wayne, as Thomas Wayne slash Batman. At first, his voice was a little like too forced, and there are some areas where you can kind of hear his voice kind of cracking a little bit from the like really gravelly voice. But as you listen to it and as the movie goes on, you kind of forget about all that, and you just, you're really just into the film, and the voice really does work. I also really love this Batman. He's really cool, just like in the comic, and I think they really did a good job of translating him into this film. I mean, he just his drinking, the way he acts, and his attitude is just really awesome to watch. It's really cool, and the voice is really it's really neat to listen to. Michael B. Jordan as Cyborg, didn't expect that, but he sounds good. At first, I didn't know who it was until I saw the credits and stuff. I'm like, who's voicing Cyborg? Because it's not the usual guy they get to voice Cyborg. And I was like, oh, Michael B. Jordan. There you go. There's a dude who I have a lot of respect for. I think he's a very underrated actor. He's getting big now because of Chronicle, and he's been on The Wire and stuff like that. But yeah, his voice was fit. It fit this version of Cyborg pretty well. I thought he did a good job. Uh, I thought, for the most part, the voice acting was just overall good. The Flash, Barry Allen, Justin Chambers, he did a good job as Barry. I actually think he should permanently be Barry in like anything else they do as far as animated Flash. If they're going to use Barry Allen more often, they should use him permanently because he just was spot on. C. Thomas Howell as Professor Zoom slash Ebor Thawne. He was awesome. I liked him a lot, and I'm going to talk about him more as it goes on. Steve Blum as Lex Luthor. That was interesting. And it's also going to be interesting to hear him as Darkseid in the next one that they're doing, Justice League War. And everybody else just did a really good job, and I thought the voice acting, like I said, was just overall really solid. Not one voice really was off-putting or anything like that. The animation was really good, especially the fight sequences and the running stuff with the Flash was really well done. They did use some CGI stuff in here for like buildings and cars, and they always do that. It's a little distracting, but it looked good on watching it on Blu-ray and on my TV. It just looked really, really appealing. Now, the art style was really not as bad as I thought it was going to be. In motion, it looks good. Because you look at the screenshots and you're like, oh man, that looks really awful. But actually, once the characters start to move and interact and, just, you see it in motion, it's actually pretty well, it's not as off putting as you might think it would be. And, there's some, the character designs are pretty weird to say the least. They're pretty odd. I think it's kind of bulky. Some characters just look way too muscular, like they've been taking steroids or something. It just looks so weird. And I really don't understand the art choices that they choose for these because they're so off-putting. They're so. It seems like ever since Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, the art styles that they've been choosing have been really, really just not really. I don't know, just poorly thought out to me. But, if you can get past that, it looks really good. It's not going to be one of those things where you like, ugh, I got to throw this out. It's one of those things you're going to really, raise an eyebrow at in some points for some character design choices. And other ones look good. Like, I think for the most part, the women in here, like particularly Wonder Woman, Lois Lane, Barry's mom, they look really good. Like, they're not overly sexualized or anything. And including the Amazon, like everything, just like this, as far as like costumes and stuff, it looks really appealing. But yeah, overall art design, animation, pretty decent. I'm not gonna say amazing, just really, really, it's solid. It's good enough to get you through the film. Now, the pacing in here I thought was really well done too. Pacing is really good. I don't know how long this movie is, but the pacing, I was, I was into this movie from beginning to end. I didn't feel like it dragged on in some parts, and I felt like they really did a good job of condensing this story down into an animated feature. Because there's a lot more other stuff with this story, because they had, the tie-ins from the event when they were doing Flashpoint with the comics. There's a lot more to go on, the stuff with Martha Wayne, when she became the Joker. There's like the whole book that describes how that came about and where that went to and all of that. They explain all of that stuff in the tie-in books. But if you just want to just see the main story with the Flash, this is good enough. I'm glad they didn't try to accumulate everything into, and actually they did kind of go into the backstories, but they made it more condensed and they made it work. And in some ways, it's actually a little bit better than what they did in the comics. So yeah, the pacing and you're into this film. You're either into it or you're not. I don't think this is going to be one of those things where you kind of like it and you kind of don't. You either really, really like this or you're really, really not going to like it. That's how I think it's going to be for a lot of people. And for me, I really liked it. The story, like I said, it's pretty straightforward and to the point. It's not convoluted or it's not going to confuse you. If you're familiar with Justice League or DC and you're familiar with these characters, even if you don't read the comics, it's a pretty easy story to follow. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say about the film. I would say go out and buy it, or just get it on Netflix or something. Don't torrent it or anything like that. Support this movie. It's really well done, and it's one of those. I think it's one of their best, if not their best, they've done so far. It seems like to me, they're getting better and better as these go on. They're starting to listen to some complaints, and they're starting to get better with some of the stuff that they do. Like the violence in here in here is done, and I think it's necessary violence, and the action and stuff like that. It's with the story. It works with the story. It's not just pointless fight scenes. When the fight scenes happen, you're into them. They're intense. They're not unnecessary jokes and stuff like that and one-liners. It's everything just feels well thought out. What I really liked about this is that Professor Zoom was just awesome in here, particularly in the final battle with the Flash, where he has this whole thing with the Flash, and he talks about, he's like, you came back in time, and you just saved your mommy, and you could have changed history for real. Like you could have You could have stopped JFK from getting shot. You could have stopped Hitler from becoming who he became. You could have stopped all these really important things in history, but you decided to just save your mother. And I thought that was really well done. How he, just the psychological debate that they were going at it with Flash and Thawne. You know, it was just really well done. Professor Zoom is an awesome villain, very underrated villain, and they did him justice in this movie. I was really impressed with that, and just the stuff that they brought up. I mean, it was such a mature film. It's not a, I don't know, it's not a mainstream superhero movie. It's really, really, um, it's a really, really interesting adult film that I think, if you like superheroes, that you should definitely watch. It's a really, really adult superhero movie film, and I definitely give a thumbs up to that. Anything that's willing to put adult themes within superheroes and kind of make you think about certain things after it's done is a thumbs up for me. It's not a black and white film at all, and definitely not one for the kids. Like I've been saying, it's an adult movie. Like, this movie actually should have been rated R. I'm surprised they got away with the PG-13, because there's people getting decapitated, blood. I mean, it gets really crazy. I was shocked. I'm like, wow, this is just like with Dark Knight Returns. That had a lot of that stuff in there too. I'm like, wow, this is PG-13. That's crazy. Because they got away with a lot of stuff in both of those films. But other than that, I think this proves that we can start branching out to other characters. Flash can hold his own movie. And this was a Flash movie. I mean, it says Justice League Flashpoint Paradox, but this was a Flash-centric story. And I think, like I said, it proves that, we can step outside of Batman and Superman and do a Flash movie. They've done Green Lantern animated films, and they've worked out. Don't be afraid to, showcase your other characters, because I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed that Flash was the center of this film, and it was just really awesome to see him shine for once, and not have it just completely on Batman and Superman. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give this film a solid 10 out of 10. I really can't find any problems with it, and it's just fantastic. I love it. I'm out. Peace.